Hey, Mike.
Yeah, what's going on?
Hey, do you know you can reduce stress from a simple breath?
Why, yes, I do. As you know, I teach Tai Chi, and breath work is one of the important things that we study.
That's why Camuso created the Shift, a minimalist necklace that helps you relax. Have you seen this?
Why, yes, I have. It's a nicely crafted necklace that is designed after a tool that the Camuso monks of 17th century Japan used as part of their meditation practice. It essentially allows you to extend your exhale, which triggers the parasympathetic response in the body, which is actually the relaxation response. So it helps you relax.
The Shift is a beautiful necklace that helps you breathe better. Let's create a calmer world by learning to breathe better. Use our TechTime Radio code for 15% off at checkout. Our code is TechTime. To find out more, you can go to techtimeradio.com and look at our sponsors. Visit them online at www.camusodesign.com. That's www.camusodesign.com. News break. Mr. Gourdet, have you heard of Prefab, helping creators launch fast? Prefab helps you launch sites, forums, and decks fast using tools you already know. Prefab is currently invite only, so sign up to get early access at prefab.app.
Prefab is a new online publishing service like Squarespace for creators and makers. We are running a creator tool giveaway, including tools like Pixelmator, Affinity Photo, and Sketch. The giveaway ends on June 26, so no purchase is necessary. Listeners can participate at prefab.app/giveaway. That's prefab.app/giveaway.
Sign up now and learn more.
Coming to you from the shores of the Pacific Northwest, keeping you up to date on technology while enjoying a little whiskey on the side, with leading-edge topics, along with special guests, to navigate technology in a segmented, stylized radio program. The information that will make you go, Pull up a seat, raise a glass with our hosts as we spend the next hour talking about technology for the common person. Welcome to TechTime Radio with Nathan Mumm.
Welcome to TechTime Radio with Nathan and Mum.
Wow,
I'm
that
your
came
host.
in like a lion.
Was that?
That came in like a lion.
The show that makes you go, Technology News of the Week. The show for the everyday common person with insightful segments on subjects weeks ahead of the mainstream media. I'm Nathan Mumm, and welcome to our show. What are you laughing about?
I don't know.
You're in a little funny mood. You're enjoying life right now, huh?
Sure.
Okay, perfect. So, welcome to our live show. We are live streaming on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch.tv, and the best place to find us is just go to techtimeradio.com and look right in the big video window there. You can click the play button and you'll watch us live as we stream. Now, we're a live show on Saturdays from 4 to 6 p.m.
Here it comes.
So if you do not, or if you're watching this
On what? When?
on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, not 4 to 6, and Sunday, then you're watching a rebroadcast of our show.
I'm glad you let us know.
Okay, and the best way to find out that...
We're always glad when you let us know.
So let us know that. Yeah. You can always find out more information going to techtimeradio.com. So if you see a rebroadcast, all the information will be available online so you can see what's
right.
available.
You can go to the website and learn that it's a rebroadcast.
That's right. Or if you have questions about anything, you can go to the website. All right, so there's a lot of cool buttons there. There's the Be Our Guest. Well, it's Be Guest, our guest area. So if you click on the guests, you can see a picture of their LinkedIn profile. Mm-hmm. And then you can also go to the segment that we have them on the show. So we got a bunch of guests on there that have been on our show. So you can always go and see that. Today's episodes are going to be great because we have our 2-hour show. On the first hour, we have Nick Espinosa back from Security Fanatics. So he's already on the website with like 3 links. We had to create a special thing so we can add every single time he's on. So there's more and more links. And then for the second hour, we have James Riddle that's going to be talking about some CRISPR gene splicing.
Yeah, gene splicing.
And do we have a pill that is being developed for COVID-19 vaccination processes? So we're going to be talking about both of those subjects as our medical expert. We are a 2-hour technology show that talks about technology in a simple way without having to geek out. On the first hour, we have our Cold War Showdown with Russia versus USA. So you remember the old Cold War?
Yeah,
well,
I've been alive.
So we have Biden and Putin, which Nick is going to talk about, had a little what do I say, conference slash come to Jesus meeting. That's when you're in trouble. Like,
Is that what's going on?
yeah, so they had about technology. So he's going to come on in and explain about that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we have Windows 10 sneak peek. So we got some screenshots of Windows 11. Windows 11, because Windows 10, which the CEO of Microsoft said will never be replaced. You would never have to have another operating system ever.
Famous last words.
Satya Nadella, who decided that we're now going to create
You think
Windows
Karma
11.
had anything to do with that?
Well, I don't know. We already talked about that. And then finally, we have Mike's mesmerizing moment. Only after we talk about a robot that can zap those pesky weeds in your garden.
Yeah, that's one of those fun. That's a fun one.
Yeah, that's a great story. And I did a bunch of research on that, so that was pretty cool. There's a bunch of different stuff out there. In our second hour, we have letters. We talk about this week's email scams and funny phishing attempts that were sent to me. We read one already a little bit. It was pretty funny. There's two today that are probably in at least an 8 out of 10 type of funniness for phishing, so we're going to be talking about that. We have James Riddle that will be a part of our CRISPR exploration about the Superbug that is invincible to all viruses. We're going to be talking about that. And then on our segment with Stories You Didn't Know, we're going to be having a segment on China and a bunch of items that they have released in the United States and what they are currently doing that people don't really talk about here in the United States. So we have some technology breakthroughs of what they're doing too.
Johnny Cam, right?
That's right. And before we start any of our shows, it's always the most important aspect that we get to our question of the day, of our loaded question. Mike, who's the last person you would ever pick up hitchhiking? No, you can't say your ex-wife.
I can't. Why not?
You can't say
because it's not allowed.
Yeah,
that's why.
That's right. Your ex-wife is not allowed on any of that answer. So somebody else that you would not want to pick up.
The person I was married to before.
No, we can't say that either.
All right, try again.
That doesn't work either. Who would it be?
Donald.
Oh, we were talking about this, so I thought that would trigger it. You're going to say Donald Trump, right?
Yeah.
We were just talking about him before we went on the air about some security stuff.
Yeah, I wouldn't pick him up.
You wouldn't pick him up?
No.
No. Do you think you'd ever be out hitchhiking though?
Who knows?
So you think maybe after a rally, one of his cars breaks down and he doesn't have 30,000.
I don't pick up hitchhikers anyway, so I guess it doesn't matter who it is.
Yeah, I don't either. You know, and that used to be the thing right in the 70s, right?
And
70s, you could go
back
across.
in the 70s, you could pick up, but nowadays, no, I wouldn't. In fact, I'm just going to erase all of what I just said and say nobody.
Nobody?
I'm not going to pick up anybody.
So you're just going to drive on by?
I'm just going to drive on by. Certain people I might drive over.
And give them a one-fingered salute while you're at it.
That's right. Hopefully not.
No, you have to be in the car for that.
Okay. All right. David will be your
David will be my co-saluter.
All right, there you go. Well, now it's time to engage us. If you have a question, you go to Twitch TV /TechTime Radio. You can put that in the stream, or you can call us at 425-373-5527, 1-888-298-KKNW-5569. We have another T-shirt to give away during the second hour of our show. So if you listen all the way through to our second hour, we're going to be giving away a T-shirt, one of our gaming T-shirts. And now let's get on with our top stories in the first 5 minutes.
What's happening in the world of technology? This is our top stories in the first 5 minutes.
All right, story number one. Windows 10 to be retired in 2025 as the new OS has been leaked to the internet. Windows 11 is out there.
Apparently it sucks.
Well, so here's the thing.
Like Windows Vista.
This kills me, right? So that's what it is. Microsoft will stop supporting Windows 10 in 2025 as it prepares to unveil a major revamp of its Windows operating system. When Windows 10 was launched, Microsoft said it was intended to be the final version of an operating system forever, but on the 14th of October 2025, there will be no more updates for Home or Pro version of Windows 10.
So we're going back to paying for Windows.
Oh, yes. Microsoft had said that it represented the most significant update in the OS in the past decade. Windows 10 was released on July 2015 and dubbed Windows as a Service, which meant the software was gradually updated at no charge rather than a company releasing a new version of its OS every few years. At the time, Chief Executive Officer Satya Nadella said it marked a new era for personal computing. Developer evangelist and Microsoft employee Jerry Nixon went even further on to describe it as the last version of Windows ever.
Yeah. And now?
Well, we know that Windows looks like on a leaked build, so I've actually downloaded the leaked build that was available. I won't say where I got it, dark web, but I won't say where I got it, dark web. And so I will tell you this. There's a new startup sound.
Joy.
And there's a new logo.
Okay.
And widgets are back. You remember widgets?
I remember widgets.
So this is the feature that first came
Is
out
this like-
in Windows Vista, and we're redoing
Is
the
this like
widget
bell
from the
bottoms
start part.
coming back out?
Yeah, I
Is
don't
this
know.
the Microsoft version of bell bottoms?
Let me just tell you, the Mac OS has not changed for over 30 years.
No.
They
That's
still
'cause
have
it works.
They still have the preference on the top left. You have a menu you drop down. You have a bar at the very bottom. But somehow Microsoft thinks that every other release of the operating system, we're going to have a brand new user interface, and it's going to be better.
I know it pisses everybody off.
It does. Why don't they just keep it the way it is?
I don't know. Are they going to bring Clippy back?
Oh, Cliffy was so great.
Yeah.
Or how about the home suite that you would never have to have anything other than this home deal, and then it was Project Microsoft Home, and you'd log into the internet, you get your calendar information. Bill Gates' ex-wife
I never used that.
was one of the creators of that, so it didn't go really well.
Yeah, it didn't go over.
No, it didn't go really well. But,
Oh.
all right.
darn
Okay.
it.
All right.
Can't wait.
Story number 2, though, gets even better. Lina Khan, the 32-year-old, taking on big tech as chair of the U.S. Federal Trade Commission. We have some
Lena.
Lina Khan. Did I say what did I say? Lina.
Lena.
I meant Lina Khan. Sorry, Lina Khan, the 32-year-old, taking on big tech as the chair of the U.S. Federal Trade Commission. We have some audio here from our reporting station.
President Biden named Lina Khan, a prominent critic of big tech, as the chairwoman of the Federal Trade Commission. It's a sign that the agency is likely to crack down even further on the industry's tech giants.
It's a very exciting appointment. And the fact that she got an overwhelmingly bipartisan confirmation from the Senate was very good news. I think this is one of the areas where Republicans and Democrats agree that we have to do important work. And I think she's going to be aggressive. And she obviously is very supportive of the recommendations that came out of the 16-month investigation of the Judiciary Committee last year.
All right. So Ms. Khan is known to not have a love for big technology companies.
Jeff, Mark, and Elon going to start sweating now?
So as the new FTC chairman, Ms. Khan now has teeth to back up her idea. She has gone from legal activist and academic to holding perhaps the most powerful consumer protection job in the country. The commission is already in the process of suing Facebook for illegally maintaining its personal social network monopoly for the years of long course of anti-competitive conduct. It's also investigating Amazon.
Maybe that's why Jeff is going into space.
That's right. Is this good for tech? Time will tell, but big companies crush little independent companies all the time. Will things change?
Well,
I hope so.
I guess we'll see.
We'll see what we do. All right. Story number 3, nuclear energy. Fusion plant backed by Jeff Bezos to be built in the UK. So you know what he's saying? Forget it.
I'm moving.
I'm moving.
I'm leaving.
I'm leaving the United States. All right. A company backed by Amazon's Jeff Bezos is set to build the largest scale nuclear fusion demonstration plant in Oxfordshire, aiming to turn the promise of fusion into commercial viable energy source. Let's play a recent press release about this new plant.
We're struggling to figure out what the future of sustainable energy looks like on our planet, as there are a lot of different directions we could go. The UK, however, made a bold move when they recently announced a huge investment in a prototype fusion power facility that could be functioning as a commercial power plant by 2040. That's pretty mind-blowing for many reasons, one of which is that fusion power isn't really a reality yet.
Right.
So this is interesting, right? So
this is science fiction stuff.
This is right because this is essentially you get fusion energy based upon the idea of a star exploding, right? So the idea
that's what's going on inside a star is fusion.
Correct, and when it explodes, that's when you can capture the fusion, and that's when it's at its highest area. So we have Jeff Bezos, who is working on a new facility to be built in Colaham, home of the UK's National Fusion Research Program. The commercial details have not been disclosed, but the development says to cost around $400 million.
It sounds like he and Elon are hanging out a lot.
It aims to be open and operational by 2025 with the ability to sell commercial fusion to customers by 2040.
Yeah, so we're going to have a more sustainable energy source that people can be charged with.
So be charged with,
yeah.
Yes.
So charge them more.
We'll charge them more so that we have something we can create. So
that's another monopoly that's coming.
So that's exactly. So Bezos is building a large plant.
He's
so
like,
now,
I'm getting out of the Amazon business and going into the energy business.
That's right.
To monopolize that.
because there isn't as many regulations in that right now. So if I
No.
go there, then I can have things taken care of.
If I can create a fusion reactor, I can become the god of energy.
And then Miss Khan won't be trying to break me up and causing all the grief for me. So that's what he's figuring with that. I guess so. All right.
He's going to do that from the moon.
Or well, that's what he said, right? And he's going to be one of the first people to be.
I'm really picking on him today, aren't I?
You are.
I don't know why.
I don't know because nobody's Facebook.
I don't usually have a problem with Jeff.
Yeah, so that is a basis has been thrown under the bus. Beep 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 beep, back and forth. All right. Well, we're going to go.
Jeff.
We're going to take our first commercial break, but when we come on back, we will have our whiskey to review because we have some nice whiskey here. It's a single malt Scotch whiskey, 80 proof, but I won't tell you what it is until we come on back. And then we're going to have our Technology Insider segment with our security expert and security fanatic CIO, essentially the owner, Nick Espinosa. We have Russia versus the USA in a Cold War cyber initiative. You don't want to miss out. You like how I do all the Cold War?
Yeah, you're
Rocky
really,
IV.
You're really trying to rock that secret agent.
That's right. You remember Rocky IV? Rocky, and yeah,
With
Drago. Yeah, Ivan Drago.
How does that have anything to do with
Cold War?
Cold War.
Well, that's the only people that, you know what? When you talk about Cold War, when you say Rocky IV, people all can relate. When you just say the Cold War stuff, people don't understand that anymore. So, all right. Well, you don't want to miss that exciting interview. And definitely we will see you after this commercial break.
Hey, Mike.
Yeah, what's going on?
Have you heard about 180 Consulting?
No.
I love these guys. You know how much I avoid working with copy vendors, right?
Actually, I get to hear about it all the time.
Not anymore, because guess what? The guys at 180 Consulting took over the entire process. They assessed our needs, worked directly with the vendors on my behalf, and helped us understand our option. No sales fluff, just good information so we can make the right decision.
Well, that sounds good. How do they get paid?
Their only compensation comes from a small share of the cost savings they create. They work for us, and it's a win-win.
You know, that sounds like a no-brainer.
There's two ways to reach them. You can get them at info@180-consulting.com or visit them online at www.180-consulting.com.
www.180-consulting.com.
Thank you, Mike. 180-consulting.com.
Hi, I'm Bernadette Page, your host of An Informed Life Radio. In an age when the term misinformation is used to silence criticism and debate about COVID-19, vaccines, and more, we're bringing you doctors, lawyers, and scientists to discuss the missing information about your health and medical freedom. An Informed Life Radio airs right here on KKNW every Friday from 3 to 5 p.m. We're starting a real health revolution, one conversation at a time. Join us.
Welcome back to Tech Time Radio. We just had our whiskey tasting. Mike, during the break, we got to sample our whiskey and our pick of the day during the show. Today we have chosen Lismore single malt Scotch whiskey, 80 proof, about $35 a bottle. Mm-hmm. This is Scotland malt, sherry, spice, and floral aromas. The flavor is dominant with the malt gentle Scotch tasting and a mixture of 12 hand single malts.
Yes, very smooth.
Very smooth. Did you
Very
like? Now, Mr. Miller, our engineer,
he didn't like it.
He did not like it. He said this was the worst whiskey Scotch tasting.
Yeah, he wanted
ever
to
had.
pour it out.
I think he actually did.
Oh, that's alcohol.
I know. I don't know what we're gonna do with him, but this is really smooth. This got a little bite, but it's got a smooth bite.
Yeah. So, are you going to correct yourself on the fission versus fusion thing?
So we were talking about it. How about you correct me because you like doing this, right? So what are the differences?
The difference is our current nuclear power is by pulling atoms apart, which is what you were referencing. It's by splitting atoms and it creates energy.
Correct.
A fusion reactor would take atoms and fuse them together and create energy that way, which is what the stars do.
So I had it right, but I wasn't saying it right. So thank you.
Right.
Thank you, Twitch stream follower.
We're actually getting schooled by Twitch right now.
Yeah, so we had some Twitch followers that gave us that information, and they were right. So that's what I meant to say, but it did not come out exactly the correct way. Hooked on Phonics worked for me too, didn't it? All right, okay, here we go.
That has nothing to do with it.
That's right. Well, now that we got our drinks out of the way, we are going to move on to our segment with our security expert, Nick Espinosa from Security Fanatics, and our Tech Time Radio security correspondent. As we get him ready for the show, let's start our next segment.
Welcome to Technology Insider. We get the information directly from the source.
All right, welcoming Nick to the show. Nick, we're excited to have you on. Now, my question today is, what are you drinking?
So I am going with my old standby right now, which is Lagavulin. and
Okay.
you can never go wrong with that. But I recently did get a new whiskey that I have yet to try, and it's one of the Bullets, the Kentucky bourbon.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm very curious to try that one, and I will probably have it next time for you guys.
Is it the orange label or green label?
Ooh, that's a good question. I believe it was green.
It was green. So I did not like the green. I like the orange.
See, we're going to have all of our guests now send us whiskey to taste.
Oh, send us whiskey.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? I think the memo is, can you send us whiskey? Why am I on your
is that
shirt?
what it is?
Yeah. So be careful what we ask
sample.
for, right?
I will sample anything. So
you know what? We got to give you this that scratch one that we had from the local Edmonds one that we had on here.
Oh, that was good.
That was pretty good.
Yeah,
that was pretty good. I'll have to send you a bottle of that, Nick. We'll take care of you.
Yes, and for the record, I am still using Microsoft Bob, which is what you were talking about.
Oh, that's what I was trying to say. That's right. I wasn't at home. It was Microsoft Bob.
Bob.
That's Melinda's. Yeah. So she was doing that before she started dating Bill. So this is a little gossip because I used to work. I was
allowed to talk about this?
Probably not, but that's okay. So I worked as an executive support tech at Microsoft, which means I actually traveled around with anybody and did repairs for all the computers. If you had a senior title, a senior VP and above, we would support you. And that was a list of normally of about 60 to 80 people and their admins. So we supported all of them. And so I was there during the time supporting all of these executives. And Melinda was not on the list for the executives, and other people were, and she was in charge of that program. And I remember her boss, when that was released, it was like, oh, this is going to change the world. And I'm like, oh, really? You're going to have like monochrome graphics and it's going to change the world. So yes.
Wow.
There you go. I have an opinion about it. I hated that.
I see that you might have some feelings. Would you like to talk about that?
It was the worst idea. You'd like have your schedule. You like spend all this time typing in your schedule just so it could prompt you up, and then you'd have to click back into to open it. All right. Okay. All right. We're done about that. All right. So we were going to ask Nick to talk about a certain subject. And
Please do.
And Nick said, you know what? We're going to change it. If you want me on the show, Mr. Mom, this is what we're going to do. And I said, that's great. And I actually watched this whole video, and I said, that's way better than what I was going to ask you to be for. So I'm glad that we changed our subject here. So let's talk about it. We had Biden and Putin in a security summit. Can you break this down and explain what happened, Nick, what this was about? Let's get into some details here.
Yeah, so you might know, or a lot of your audience might know, that obviously Biden and Putin met in Geneva, Switzerland this past Wednesday, and talked about a lot of different things. But one of the core things that they actually talked about, especially President Biden, is he laid out essentially the problem that we are having, not just with state-sponsored hacking coming out of Russia, but the fact that Russia is actually essentially giving these people safe harbor, for lack of a better term, meaning cyber gangs within their country are not aggressively being gone after by Russian law enforcement or any other law enforcement. And that's obviously a problem for the United States and other countries as well. And so by virtue of that, that's essentially what they talked about. And in that, basically, President Biden laid out, or rather drew a line in the sand for the 16 critical infrastructure sectors of the United States and why they should be off limits for Russia. Unfortunately, I'm fairly certain, and I'd put money on it, that it fell on deaf ears. But that's essentially what President Biden was talking about, how the 16 critical infrastructure sectors of the United States should be off limit to hacking. And by virtue of that, we will respond in some way, shape, or form that was not clearly defined by President Biden every time one of those sectors gets hit. But that opened up a whole lot of questions. And quite frankly, I think that was a bit of a miscalculation on the Biden administration for putting that out there. But that's essentially the gist of what they were talking about.
Yeah. So what was? Do you have any idea what these 16 key points were?
Yeah, so the 16 critical infrastructure parts are, I mean, it's everything from the defense industrial base, which is basically 300,000 corporations in the United States, the nuclear infrastructure, water and wastewater infrastructure, the commercial sector, so shopping malls, sports arenas where a lot of people congregate, and everything else in between, not to mention dams and bridges, transportation. Basically, the CISA put out the 16 critical infrastructure on their website. That's the cybersecurity wing of the Department of Homeland Security to lay this out. So essentially it encompasses a massive amount of U.S. infrastructure, but also the U.S. economy as well. Essentially what he's saying is, like 85% of the entire United States is off limit, but there was no real level in that. So like the financial sector, for example, you can have a 3-person accounting firm be in the financial sector. Is that technically critical infrastructure for the United States versus Wall Street? So these are the kinds of things that arose from this that we're all puzzling over, is essentially how do you really define what is critical? Because even within these critical sectors, there's a criticality between, let's say, a small business or a massive business. If I'm moving oil from like that one oil field I own in Texas, I'm not nearly as critical as Colonial Pipeline, right? So those are the kinds of things that we don't have distinction on just yet.
All right, and there were some people in the audience. So, how did the audience that was at this event, how did they respond and act during the questions?
Well, I mean, from what I saw, and I read a lot of the analysis afterwards, it was more. It seemed to me like confusion, more than anything else. I think there were a lot of questions, that were out there, and I think that Putin played it pretty smugly. That was my interpretation of what I saw.
Isn't that kind of normal for Putin?
No, okay, yes.
So he probably played his hand that he's like, hey, well, if all of a sudden you guys are coming to us complaining with your 16 items here.
Just virtual saber rattling.
Yeah,
right.
I didn't come to you, but in the United States, you got to come to me in Russia and ask us to do this. He probably was bolstered and probably felt pretty proud of that type of a event that he was at, right?
Well, maybe he's going to take off a shirt and get up on a horse again.
Right. Well, I mean, I will say this though, that basically the Russian government tends to deny all of these things. That we're not guilty of this to begin with. But I would also say that this summit, compared to the last summit that we had with the Russians in Helsinki under President Trump, was starkly different in terms of the tone and direction that the United States took when talking about Russia as very problematic. If you recall, in I believe it was 2017 or 2018 in Helsinki, the United States' position per President Trump was a lot more friendly to Russians over these kinds of things, to the point where, President Trump was basically saying, I'm going to take him at his word. I'm going to take Putin at his word. And that was not something that we saw this past Wednesday. So it was a much different tone in that sense.
Yeah. So what do you think happens after all this? Do you think that motivates more of the criminal gangs in Russia? Does it bolster up the American defense for cybersecurity? What do you think the outcome of this will actually end up happening?
I think it's important to understand that Russia right now is fighting an asymmetrical cyber war, meaning we basically have more than double the population of Russia, despite their size geographically. We have vastly more infrastructure than them, and so it is very possible for the Russians or state-sponsored attackers from the Russians to hit parts of the United States. While it's potentially damaging, it's not the same as we reciprocate. So Russia's essentially their largest export is gas. They're basically a petrol state, and so if we were to hit or run a cyber attack in retaliation or escalation against them, we would do a lot more damage by simply hitting a pipeline than hitting a pipeline here. Even though we looked at the Colonial Pipeline situation, the pipeline itself wasn't hit. The billing system was, and they shut the pipeline down. But that is much less damaging to us than a reciprocal attack to Russia would be. So by virtue of that, the United States has to pick its targets. I mean, another, I'd say, concerning point was this basically didn't, what Biden was talking about, President Biden was talking about, didn't actually mention the multiple fronts that a cyber war can take. And so on top of the critical infrastructure that he was talking about, there's also surveillance of government officials. Everybody is doing that. There's also information warfare campaigns that sow information to divide electorates on platforms like Facebook and all of that. None of that was really addressed. And so that, I think it was very hollow or narrow in scope what Biden was talking about, and I think that just the delivery was incorrect for the moment.
This sounds like a lot of it was just simply placating people that are watching. What do you think?
Yeah, see, so this was really interesting when you look at it, right? Because this is, as Nick was saying, it looks like it kind of was a misstep from Biden, right? But then Biden came out just 3 weeks earlier with the changes that he wants to do within the government. That's probably one of the best things I've seen from any president. We talked about that, right? So, I mean, he actually took some actions with some dates to say, hey, we got some unification in here. We got to come up with some security policies that we're taking care of. So I don't know if chief of staff or technology people are kind of bouncing ideas back and forth to him. And if he's getting good information from some people, maybe not the greatest of information from others.
Right. Well, and to that point, I do, for the record, President Biden basically leveled an executive order that is moving the federal government towards a much tougher cyber hygiene stance for better cyber defense strategy, as well as software grading and other things. I'm not diminishing that. I think that's a good thing. And I think anybody looking at the landscape of attacks in the last year alone, not to mention, let's say, the last 5 years, says we have to do something, and now we've got a president that's moving on that in a way we just didn't have with the last administration. That's a really good thing. But the problem that we have is that there was no real understanding, and I'm not expecting understanding of exactly what the scope is for attack. It's really not possible for President Biden to go get granular on stage, with Putin, in that sense, as they are talking about this. But that's essentially what we have to have. These 16 critical infrastructure sectors comprise millions of private corporations. And so the level of criticality is a huge problem. I mean, look at the defense industrial base. That's 300,000 companies alone when you look at the contractors and subcontractors and subcontractors. And that's a huge problem. Fortunately, they're also leading the way and actually correcting this problem by creating things like the Cybersecurity Maturity Model Certification, which is going to require the industrial base to essentially get certified for good cyber hygiene practices, which is obviously a good thing. But we have a long way to go right now. And so the concern here is that strategically, if we are drawing that line in the sand and the Russians, let's say, have a sponsor, an attacker that hits the critical infrastructure again, there's no clear definition of how we're going to retaliate. And I think that's something that the Biden administration needs to do. They need to make it clear as to essentially what kind of game theory are we playing here? Is it tit for tat? I mean, there's a lot of different things that go into crafting a response for this, and leaving it this open and vague, I think, is doing a disservice to the possible, capabilities. Similar to what we had in Syria years ago under the Obama administration, when we drew a quote unquote red line, and when that line was crossed, we didn't do anything, and that really wasn't a good thing in that moment.
Correct.
That's politics.
What's that?
It is.
That's politics.
Yeah, no, it is politics, right?
It's the same thing that happened in World War II. And
right, but part of this is we have to base this in reality. And if all we're saying is, it's like if you have a child, don't take a cookie, and then they take the cookie, don't take another cookie, and they take another cookie. At some point, there has to be a consequence for that. And that's one of those things that because it's not clearly defined, is hitting that 5-person company that's technically, in the vertical of a critical infrastructure sector. Is that now constituting a harsh retaliation from the United States? And by virtue of that, virtually all policing is retroactive, right? So if the Russians are actually, let's say, going to step it up and try to find, let's say, the Russian mafia, which we know they're pretty much in bed with, if they start policing them, it's going to be after the fact. In the same way, we have that problem here. That's not unique to Russia, but as we have criminal gangs here that are taking things, we find them after the fact and then prosecute. So it's just an interesting thing that came out this past week, but I think it was a misstep.
I guess we'll find out.
We are going to find out. And the biggest thing is did we not give now more motivation to state-sponsored attacks with our 16 items here that we don't want you to attack? Probably so, right? So
I don't
but
know.
You know what? At the same time, these are a pretty large swath of, as Nick was saying, a software company X, and they decided to be an accounting firm for my taxes in Arlington. I mean, if they're going to go on in and break that up, and then all of a sudden they're going to take care of that, the United States is going to come back and say, okay, we're shutting down your petroleum line. Probably not the same type of deal. So those need to be kind of distinguished.
Well, and to that point, the United States, I mean, I literally just learned this today. I think it came out from the Associated Press today. The United States government itself is not actually helping this in the sense that they are now allowing, or they have, and just nobody knew it, but now it's breaking, that if you're a company and you get ransomed, that your ransom payment is now tax deductible.
Yep.
Uh-oh.
So
tax deductible, and your insurance company picks it up, and you pay a little portion of it. So it's a broken system right now. That's why everybody asks for under $1 million, right? Because everybody can write.
All of these systems are broken.
Right. Well, the ransom
can't get
notes,
anything right.
The future, I promise you, the future ransom notes will say, oh, by the way, you should pay us because it's tax deductible and you have cyber insurance and all of that. So there's no downside to you getting hit beyond you lose your data.
It's going to be polite criminals now.
Yeah, it's going to be to say, hey, guess what? It's really going to cost you $29.99 on the back end for you to do the transfer.
They're
going to
set up a plus system.
That's right.
It's going to be ransomware plus.
Okay.
You pay us a monthly fee, and we'll
take care of
everything. Take care of it.
It's interesting though, because when knowing this, because I work at Elite Executive Services and we do a lot of what do I want to say? We're kind of like the A team. That's the nicest way to say it. So the A Team TV show, if you couldn't find someone to do it, then you can call us.
Cigar?
So I'm not Hannibal Smith, or I'm not anybody like that. Maybe I'd be Murdoch.
Mr. T.
I'd be Murdoch.
B.A. Baracus right there.
That's
Can
right.
I be face?
He'd be face. Oh, look at
man.
Nick is going for the good-looking guy.
Yeah, there you go.
But when you actually end up investigating, and so you can go on the dark web when somebody gets hacked, and you can ask directly, most of the time, to the hacking group itself, hey, can we work out a negotiation deal? Yeah. Can we get something cheaper? Can we do it? So there's a whole underground area that we work with.
It's really, we
negotiate down all the
fascinating.
Time. You do that too with your company, Nick? Is that correct?
We negotiate. Yeah, I mean, the last one I negotiated, we knocked it down from it was a $5 million ransom to about 800,000.
And so what now happens, though, when you actually reach out to these hacking groups, is they say, well, we actually know that you have insurance. Yeah. Through this company. They'll say, hey, well, we know you got Travelers. We know that you got Chubbs. We know that those are companies that are
because
out there.
They've stolen your data. They've copied it out. So they've got your insurance policy. And that was exactly it. They're like, we know you have insurance. We know you can pay and all of that. And there's an entire tactic to either delay or get aggressive or whatever it is. And usually we delay to make sure that we've actually excised them for the network and restore from backup. And then the calculation is really how much do you want to pay by virtue of reputation damage to you and your customers. Correct. And so, it's an entire calculation that we do, but they'll all work with you in that work with you, quote unquote, right?
So if you reach out to
a fascinating system that we're going to do something criminally based, and then we're going to engage in negotiations.
Yeah, they're actually pretty easy to work with.
Yeah,
but the biggest thing is you got to make sure that you
call a customer service line.
Yeah, you got to use ideally what's the place when you buy a house and they have there's a broker for it on the dark web that you use, where essentially they hold the money and then you wait until everything gets taken care of. An escrow, so you got to get a private escrow account to do this. Is the best way to do the negotiations, so that you pay them a little bit up front. You pay them when something's going on, and you pay it in the escrow company.
This is the stuff that I find fascinating. I'm not a tech wizard. I'm the human. I find this to be fascinating.
It's actually pretty simple, and if you have a good reputation, so your reputation in the dark web matters. Your username and reputation. So if you have a good reputation for paying out, so if somebody contacts to say, hey, I want to negotiate down. This is what we got. Here's who I am. Normally real is what I say. Here's my real person, who I am. You can find out information about. Here's my reputation, and they're pretty easy to work with. I'm sure Nick does the same thing. Is that correct, Nick?
Yeah, the only problem is the reinfection rates are oftentimes an issue. You've really got to make sure they're out of your system, and you've actually plugged the holes and hardened your defenses. And so many companies make that mistake where it's like, well, I paid the ransom, they sent me the decryptor, I'm good to go, and then 3 weeks later.
You got to spend the due diligence to make sure that they're not back in there. Because what they do is they may say, sure, great. Guess what? We'll give you the key. We'll give you the decryptor. You can have your data back. But we just told 5 other of our buddies that all have different hacking deals that you're vulnerable. We're not going to hack into you. But guess what? Joey over here on the side, Joey Guido, not your buddy. Not my buddy, but another Guido on the side is going to come on in and he'll take care of it if you're not protected. So that's the big thing too. You just got to work with Nick's company or my company. Just don't work with FireEye. That's my only one thing. That's my buddy.
There it is.
There you go. I had to drop a anti-FireEye. All right. Well, Nick, thank you so much for joining us. How can people find out more about you if they want to engage you in some cyber security items they need taken care of, or have you speak? What's the best way to reach you?
I mean, you can obviously find me at LinkedIn, / Nick Espinosa, Twitter, Nick AESP. You can basically connect to me, hit me up, follow me, whatever that is. I'm more than happy to talk to you and have a good time. But yeah, thank you.
Subscribe on his Twitter account though, because he'll send out funny things for the weekend. Okay. So Nick will send out these funny little pictures of stuff and these little kind of like the Far Side type of jokes. So you want to do that. That's a good way
every
to stay
day.
Connected.
Every day.
All right. Thank you very much, Nick.
Thank you.
Nick.
Take care.
All right. Well, we're gonna need to see. He's got wealth of information. So this was not the greatest idea for the United States government to say this is the list that we have. But
we certainly will see what happens.
We're gonna see what happens.
I think this is just normal politics stuff where they have to get something and they just talk about it and they're like, yeah, wink, wink.
Here we go. Here's the list of 16.
Yeah,
this
is what we want.
Okay.
We're doing this to make everybody happy.
And then we know it's not going to
really work. I know I'm
work,
simplifying it quite a bit, but
probably the same. That's probably not simplifying. That's probably exactly what it is. All right. Well, we are Tech Time Radio. I'm your host, Nathan Moman. We got David Brown behind the board and Mike Roday here. We got a commercial break, and we'll see you right after that.
Did you know that up to 12 to 15% of Americans grind their teeth at night while they sleep? Yeah, it's called bruxism. I used to work at a sleep lab, and we used to measure that, and it leads to a lot of problems like headaches and destroys your teeth. It wears down the enamel, and it's just very hard on your mouth.
So every once in a while, I'll wake up, my jaw will hurt. Do you think I'm grinding my teeth at night?
Yep.
Well, so how do you go about protecting this then?
The number one recommended way of protecting yourself from teeth grinding is what's called a night guard, which is a custom fitted prosthetic that you put inside your mouth. It usually runs, hundreds of dollars, but I know our sponsor, Smile Brilliant, can get you custom fitted night guards for as little as $45 a piece.
So if you go to smilebrilliant.com and use TechTime Radio at checkout, you can receive 20% off your complete order. So visit smilebrilliant.com and use the TechTime Radio at checkout code. Welcome back to Tech Time Radio. How's that whiskey taste, Mike?
Oh, it's about as good as the jokes that we tell during the break.
I'm sure glad David has the mute button on. Otherwise, we would be in trouble sometimes. All right. Okay. Well, welcome back. We're going to move right into our next segment with what we found on the web.
What we found on the web.
All right.
Is this a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday thing? If you're hearing that sound, we just said it.
That's right. I was not supposed to say that, too. Did you see me go, argh?
Yeah, you do it all the time.
I have. That's the first one I've done of segment today. So the other ones I've been all right. Okay, here we go.
Captain Repeater.
All right. This is where we cover unique stories that our staff has searched high and low to bring you something that you have never heard of, or we just stumbled upon it on the web. See, look at that. That was a good. Was that a good little pun?
Yeah,
I was supposed to do it right afterwards.
Really.
Okay, all right. So let's talk about a robot that is killing weeds by zapping them with electricity. This was actually your article that you submitted.
Yeah, this is.
All right, so Tom and Dick are farming robots that work together.
There's 3 of them.
But we're going to talk about 2 to start out with.
All
right. So we got Tom and Dick are farming robots that work together to kill weeds without using chemicals.
Mm-hmm.
Now they actually use a little bit of chemicals. So they use about 5% of what the current chemicals are. So they say they don't use chemicals, but they use a little bit of the chemical to kind of do some of the zapping and different stuff that they have to make sure it doesn't grow back. So it's not 100% organic with chemicals, but it's 95% less than what the current chemical farms use, specifically over in the UK. The robots named Tom, Dick, and then Harry were developed by a small robot company to rid land of unwanted weeds with minimal use of chemicals and heavy machinery. The startup has been working on an autonomous weed killer since 2017. This April launched Tom, its first commercial robot, which is now operating on 3 UK farms. So this is, you rent this robot. You can't own them. You have to rent them.
Yeah. This is like, Silent Running. You remember that movie?
Yes, I do.
Huey, Dewey, and Louie.
Yeah. So it's kind of the same type of deal.
They're gardening robots.
So the Tom robot scans about 49 acres a day. So that's pretty decent in the farming industry.
Mm-hmm.
Collecting data, which is then used by Dick, who is a crop care robot, to zap the weeds. So it will go on out and take a look at the soil itself. It will take a look and find a weed. It will then send that information on the plot database to the other robot, who will then come on out with electricity and zap it and then pull it.
Yeah.
So scans 49 acres. The robot, then Harry, turns to go on out there a couple days later, and it will plant seeds in the weed-free soil. Specifically important to plant something there so that the weed doesn't grow back. So when you zap the weed and then you plant something, the chances of it growing back are less than 2%. So that's the way you need to do it. Using the full system, once it's up and running, farmers could reduce the cost by 40% of their chemical usage per year and up to 95% in the upcoming years moving forward. So they can immediately get 40% off chemical usage, which in a sense, for a 5-acre farm, the cost of 40% of the chemical usage is about $5,000 spent for that type of service. So it's about $5,000.
But what's the time efficiency for these robots?
So time efficiency, so you're able to get 49 acres in a day plotting, and you're able to have the other robot go out and plant and pull up to 20 acres per day. So it's half the size of the scanning one, which makes sense because it's going to take time to do that. According to the UN Food and Agriculture Organization, 6 million metrics of pesticides are traded globally in 2018 at a value at $38 billion in the industry. The system allows farmers to wean their depleted, damaged soil off of dieted chemicals, says Ben Scott, the co-founder and CEO of Small Robot. The Small Robot says it's raised over $9.9 million in support and says the company hopes to launch fully a system by 2023. The robot zapping weeds with electricity is safe for pets, safe for animals. It's a very simple process.
Meaning
if your dog or somebody gets stuck underneath there,
if Rover goes and bites Harry and gets zapped, it's not going to hurt.
It's going to be an electrical charge that will not kill you, but it'd probably be like an electric fence charge is what I would figure. I don't know for sure, but
don't pee on the robot. Right?
That's right. All right. It creates a current deal where essentially the roots of the plant and the soil are all pulled up after being zapped so that they're no longer going to be coming back there. The idea is to rent this out at about $500 a month. So if you look at the service for $5,000 for chemicals, $500 a month for this type of service, you're essentially going to be revenue neutral after year one to use this.
Right.
Pretty cool. Small Robot calls this per plant farming, and precise agriculture and plants accounted for will continuously be modern. The business case says that chemicals cost more money to transport and set up than it would be for a robot bearing trio to go on out and take care of your lawn. So now I just need a robot that cuts my lawn and zaps my weeds and also plants flowers, and then all my yard work will be done.
Isn't that your son?
Yeah, they've grown up. So now that's back to me. You know, your sons are only good for so long, and then when they move out, then it has to go back on yourself.
I don't know. I kind of like mowing my own lawn. I don't know.
Do you? Well, it's depressing for me. So I'm going to leave on
you do have you do have quite a lawn.
It is. It's a lot of hills. All right. Well, we are going to take a break for our commercial break. When we come on back, we have Mike's mesmerizing moment and our pick of the day. Hey, Mike.
Yeah, what's going on?
Hey, have you heard of Unidragon?
Yeah, that's the puzzle dude.
That's right. Guess what? They moved to Amazon.
Yeah, I know. The owl told me.
The owl told you?
Yeah, it's all about the owl.
Oh, the owl. Oh, the owl and Unidragon told you.
Yeah, we've talked about this guy before. He's the puzzle guy.
He's the puzzle guy. That's correct. They do, of course, have the owl, and the owl is available for you to now get with Prime free delivery.
Awesome.
We've made it easier for people to find the owl.
Yeah, I know. The owl told me about that too.
The owl did. What did the owl tell you?
He told me to go on to the TechTime Radio website /sponsors.
Wow, the owl is just telling you everything. That's correct. If you go to techtimeradio.com /sponsors, you see our sponsor right there, and it's got a link so you can immediately click and purchase Unidragon off of Amazon. Don't get fooled by fake puzzle people out there trying to sell you imitation puzzles. Go and find the brand you can trust, unidragon.com. And again, go to techtimeradio.com /sponsors, because the owl will tell you no place better to buy it than with the TechTime Radio code.
Yeah, there's 3 sizes.
Yeah, there's 3 sizes.
Yeah, I almost spit out my whiskey.
Cool, I really like the owl.
Mike likes the owl.
Oh my god.
That's right, Mike.
Those are so silly.
Let me just tell you, Unidragon loves us. He literally plays our ads on other podcast shows. You know
That's
that?
awesome.
So
it's all about the owl.
It's
buddy.
all about. So they got these people talking about an owl on some like crime mystery thing.
I know.
All right,
That's awesome.
Welcome back to TechTime Radio.
And
I'm your
silly,
host,
but-
Nathan Mumm. We are enjoying our Lismore single malt Scotch whiskey, 80 proof. Maybe a little too much here as we're having too much of a great time. But now we're moving into the best segment of the day, and we call this Mike's mesmerizing moment.
Mr. Repeater.
This is Mike's mesmerizing moment, presented by StoriCoffee. Visit StoriCoffee.com.
You ever wonder why we'd have these things where the Russians versus the Americans, the Cold War, and all this other stuff? You know, there's all this stuff that's going on. Do you ever wonder why we do that?
No.
it's kind of funny when we have a group that we exist in, that group has an identity, and then we can say that the group then has the same cognitive biases that individuals have. So we have two things going on here. We have illusory superiority,
Okay.
which is where I think that when I do things, I am better at it than other people.
Okay.
Okay, and this is the prime example here is when you're driving. Most people think they are better drivers than everybody else on the road.
Okay.
Okay, and then the second one is negative outgroup stereotyping, which means if you don't belong to my group is the best group, therefore you have to be worse than my
Inferior.
group. Right. So these are some cognitive biases that we're seeing playing out all over the place. It's playing out with the racial tensions, it's playing out with the sexes, plays out with other countries, other populations, and even just between people.
Okay.
Like football players and basketball players, whatever. So we're seeing this in these things where they can use that to justify these actions. Because wouldn't it be nice if we didn't have to worry about somebody trying to hack our oil lines, and it's just human nature.
Yeah, it is human nature. But I've heard that commerce does better when you have essentially like that one villain, so that you're all trying to compete against that one villain type of deal scenario. So
we have such a complex intercomplex relationship with all of these things, right?
Okay.
So it creates that competitiveness, and it all kind of funnels down into our survival matrix, where we're doing all these things as a function of our survival brain, and it is an interesting way where we're like, okay, we're not going to be friends, but we're gonna be nice to each other to a point because we want to keep relations. And nobody wants to fight about this stuff because we know what that's going to happen.
that makes sense.
But we're going to make threats, and that's where that saber rattling stuff comes from. And it's just an interesting thing.
It's an interesting thing.
Yeah.
All right.
So those are two of the main cognitive biases that are at play in these types of situations.
These type of situations. All right. I think now we should move on to our pick of the day.
Yeah. Looky there,
And
Mr.
now
Repeater.
our pick of the day for our whiskey tastings. Let's see what bubbles to the top.
So we are right
That's
on
three
schedule.
times.
We're right on schedule
Yeah.
today, right?
That's three times you've repeated
Hey,
that.
I like hearing it so much. I say it twice. All right. So we are going to be talking about our Lismore single malt Scotch whiskey, 80 proof, $35. Mr. Miller did not like it. He thought it was the worst in the world. But I am going to give this.
That's okay. He's an individual with individual taste. He's also young.
That's right. So I am going to absolutely give it a thumbs up.
I'm giving it a thumbs up too. It's really smooth. It's got a very smooth flavor, a very nice aroma.
Yeah, you know what it mixes really well with? Rockstar.
Okay, I wouldn't know about
So if
that.
you put a little bit, well, not.
I know you're the Rockstar
so,
king.
So if you put a little bit of Rockstar in there and a little bit of this in there, oh man, that's like a.
What if
that's
I
a
put?
Rockstar.
Would that be something I would put Splenda in?
A Splenda? Probably not. Probably not. All right.
How about Diet Coke?
So now is a good time to make sure that you go order your coffee from StoriCoffee. Always use the TechTime radio code TechTime. So if you want a good batch of coffee, StoriCoffee, one of our sponsors for Mike's Mesmerizing Moment,
Yes,
is
good coffee.
absolutely there of the day. Let's talk about your NFT, Mike. Did we get our NFT done?
We did.
What is our NFT available for?
Today it's just.
It is.
It just says Tech Time.
Oh, it says TechTime. All right. Now you can go and find and bid on the NFT with Ethereum credits.
Mm-hmm.
People are like, what the heck are you talking about? But with cryptocurrency, all you got to do is we made it really simple. Go to techtimeradio.com and go and look underneath our store, and you can actually bid on the NFT, and you can get an NFT from Mike Gourdet. If you get one of the first 4 that he created, you then get a personal meeting with Mr. Gourdet, and he'll tell you what inspired him to draw the actual.
I have a feeling we talked about that before, but I don't remember that.
Yeah, you don't remember that? Yeah, you
Yeah.
said that was okay. You say, oh,
Okay.
great. That's what you always say. All right.
Yeah, I'm happy to talk to anybody about what inspires me to scribble stuff on a piece of paper.
That's right. All right. These are memorable items, though. We have now been on the air for over a year.
Yes, we had our year anniversary last episode was our 52. So
And 53. And we got a couple episodes coming on up where I'm actually going to be out in wedding season.
Yeah.
So we have some guest stars that will be filling in, which will be fantastic.
Guest stars.
Party Time USA
That's
right here.
That's right. Mr. Gorday and David.
Maybe we'll have David sit over
there
here.
You
where I'm
go.
sitting
There you
down.
go. All right. On our second hour, we have our letter segment reading about this week's email scams and funny phishing attempts. We have our feature piece with James Riddle, Vice President of Research and Services for Advera. James will be talking about the subjects of scientists using CRISPR to engineer a new superbug that's invincible to all viruses and some claims that we have found a pill to treat COVID-19. James has the answers we're looking for. We also had what you didn't know regarding China's technologies. I am Nathan Mumm. I enjoyed being a part of the show. We got David Brown behind the board and Microday to my left. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us on TechTime Radio. We hope that you had a chance to have that moment today in technology. The fun doesn't stop there. We recommend that you go to techtimeradio.com and join our fan list for the most important aspect of staying connected and winning some really great monthly prizes. We also have a few other ways to stay connected, including subscribing to our podcast on any podcast service, from Apple to Google and everything in between. We're also on YouTube, so check us out on youtube.com/techtimeradio, all one word. We hope you enjoyed the show as much as we did making it for you. From all of us at TechTime Radio, remember, mum's the word. Have a safe and fantastic week.
The views expressed on this program are those of the
So who is that?
Oh, Emma is an author and musician of over 20 years dedicated to emotional understanding for kids and adults.
Oh, yeah. She does musical children picture books and some guided journals and stuff, right?
That's correct. We got The Gentle Dragons, Healing and Dealing with Emotions and Feelings. And she's also done Queen Tween the Cat, a story of gratitude and compassionate attitude. Both are themed around assisting children develop healthy and emotional habits.
Yep.
And positive attitude towards life.
Yeah, she spent countless hours researching the beneficial psychological and physiological effects of listening to instrumental music, decreasing the anxiety level of children to increasing their creative performance.
That's correct. But not only that, she has guided planners and journals that we talked about.
Yeah.
These are perfect for a busy parent, creative, and even someone who feels like they're stuck in the mud. She started Balanced Mind, a guided planner for the overly ambitious, undermotivated, and everybody in between. It's a 52-week planner that walks you through the healthier approaches towards organizing and prioritizing your goals.
She's also the author of My Terribly Great Ideas, an inspirational journal of 5 ideas a day inspired by Earl Nightingale's The Strangest Secret. This journal will help you organize and stick to creativity by creating 5 ideas a day for 90 days, when you'll end up coming up with 450 ideas, one of those which will strike gold.
You can find out more about this and subscribe to the author's email list to stay up to date on all of our new projects, again, by visiting her at www.emmapaulneal.com. That's www.emmapaulneal.com. EMMAPAUNIL.com. Hey, Mike.
Yeah, what's going on?
Have you heard of Capes and Crook, the Kickstarter campaign?
Yep, I've heard of it.
Millions of people grew up on comic book cartoons and superhero movies. There's no exception to anybody not pretending to fly around a city or creeping around the shadows in a dark night, or pretending to release a blast of energy from your hands, or flying away and saving the day.
Yeah, I know what I'm going to do.
You're going to be a supervillain, aren't you, Mike?
Sure. Who doesn't want to be immortalized as a villain?
What would your superhero villain's name be, Mike?
Oh, it'd have to be Night Owl.
This Kickstarter launch date is Tuesday, June 29th, 2021, and it's for the best-selling game publisher Crit Academy that is hoping to raise $30,000 for the upcoming Kickstarter. Mike, I have not played an RPG before.
That's what this is. It's a role-playing game that's based on the 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons rule sets. And in this case, it's customized for a superhero game, and it's based in a world called Terra, which is basically a modern-type world, a place of science, technology, evolution, and even some lost magic. You know, the game manual is about 350 pages of content. It has a full world setting, full color illustrations. It's got character origins, roles, alter egos, powers, superpowers, all the things that you would want in a superhero role-playing game.
To find out more information, visit www.kickstarter.com/projects/Crit Academy, CRIT ACADEMY, or just go to Kickstarter.com and type in Capes, CAPES, and Crooks.
Coming to you from the shores of the Pacific Northwest. Keeping you up to date on technology while enjoying a little whiskey on the side. With leading-edge topics, along with special guests, to navigate technology in a segmented, stylized radio program. The information that will make you go, Pull up a seat, raise a glass with our hosts as we spend the next hour talking about technology for the common person. Welcome to TechTime Radio with Nathan Mum.
Welcome to TechTime Radio with Nathan Mum, the show that makes you go, technology news of the week.
Yeah.
The show for the everyday common person with insightful segments on subjects weeks ahead of the mainstream media. I'm Nathan Mum, and welcome to our show today. We are live streaming Saturdays from 4 to 6 p.m. on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch, and of course on our home station, KKNW 1150 AM. If you're not listening or watching our show on Saturday afternoon from 4 to 6, then you're listening to a rebroadcast. So make sure to visit www.techtimeradio.com.
Where's the days there? Hello.
To keep up with all the latest information. So for those that need help, that means on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, not 4 to 6 p.m., and on Sunday, you're watching a rebroadcast.
There you go.
All right.
It's Captain Obvious is in the house.
Okay, well, you guys were kind of goading me on to say that. If I wouldn't have done that, you probably would have been just wouldn't know what to do with yourself.
we miss it when you do that.
All right, TechTime Radio is a weekly 2-hour technology show that talks about current technology in a simple format without having to geek out. We highlight top tech news along with segments that bring different perspectives and highlighted topics. All right, on today's show, we're excited that we will have our letters segment reading of this week's email scams and funny phishing attempts sent to yours truly, Nathan Mum at hotmail.com.
Mm-hmm.
So the Hotmail ones. So let me just tell you, I've clicked on these links now because I keep on opening these up. Now I'm getting more and more great spam.
Hey, they share it on the dark web.
Yeah, I know. So I just get more and more. So, I first started this segment, what is it? Almost 2 months ago now. And so I'd have to like search for these. Now I have to literally siphon out what I don't want to do in my junk mail folder.
You're getting popular.
So, well, I don't know about that, but our poor Hotmail Exchange server that it's running on is like, man, this guy is getting a lot of junk mail we have to filter. So
Stick Clippy on it.
That's right. Or Microsoft Bob, right? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we are having a featured piece with James Riddle, the Vice President of Research Service and Strategic Consulting for Advera. James will be joining us on topics on scientists using CRISPR to engineer a new superbug that's invincible to all viruses. I got lots of questions to ask him. With one that asks him, can we create superheroes? I'm going to ask him that.
Yeah, you would.
I'm going to ask him that because essentially we're going to talk
Sometimes I think you're more nerdy than I am.
I probably am more nerdy. But then I also like sports, too. I was watching a baseball game, and, so I have various interests. And when I like something, I really try to dive into it to get to know it really well. And,
yes, I know.
And move through that.
I
Okay.
know.
Speaking of that, that's like Sea of Thieves.
Sea of Thieves stuff right there.
That's right. So let me tell you. So if you guys don't realize, Mike and I actually have a little bit of a friendship off the air, besides the air. We were not friends when we first started doing the show. We just came in together and said, hey,
we knew each other.
We knew each other.
We were
acquaintances.
We were acquaintances, and I came to a couple of your barbecues.
Yeah.
You invited us to your barbecues.
Yeah, so we had some acquaintances, but we're pretty close friends now, I'd say.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so
you can't go on a pirate game and not be buddies.
That's right. So we play Sea of Thieves tonight, Saturday night. So that's awesome because I get to play after the show. So as soon as we go home, we play for till 1:00 in the morning normally. So
yeah.
And Sea of Thieves is releasing a new release on June 22nd.
Oh, that's right. You were really excited about this.
So
they got a exclusive deal with Disney.
With Disney, they got an exclusive. So here is Rare, which is a company that's owned by Microsoft, right? That makes this game. They have an exclusive deal with Disney to bring Jack Sparrow and all of the Pirates of the Caribbean stories into an already great game. And now you're going to be able to go on missions as Pirates of the Caribbean. I'm so excited about that. I may be sick on June 22nd.
There's going to be a lot of stuff going on late in next week. Huh?
Yes, there's going to be.
There's like 3 days left, right? Or so it's like the 22nd it starts.
The 22nd it starts, and then season 2 is done. All right, so okay. Then we also have a segment. People are like, "What the heck are these people talking about?"
Sea of Thieves.
We have a segment on things you didn't know, where we have a feature on China's latest technology, global updates from space crews to driverless robot taxis. So I hope during this hour you're going to find something that will make you go, We are going to start out with Mr. Gourdet and Mr. Brown are getting ready to join us on our conversational cards from our friends at the Love Shack. So we are going to start our show with my new favorite segment.
What's the new?
Letters, we get letters. We get back and back of letters. Ah, letters, we get letters. And the letters all have songs.
All right, so I didn't say letters this time.
No, we missed it. He even gave you a one-finger salute.
I know. He's like, what are you talking about?
Oh, that's right. Yeah. That's what you're doing. That's why, David.
Wait a minute. You went right from Love Shack to letters.
Yeah, you totally blew it. You totally blew it.
And I can't go and fix the tape. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
You're gonna have to play the letters theme again.
Okay, that's
we
right.
have to talk about the question
That's right.
first.
So Love Shack.
Well, boy, you just really went off the rails.
I did.
There.
You know what? That whiskey was so good the first hour. That must be.
Yeah.
That's my
did you have enough?
All right. So here's our Love Shack question, though. Here's our Love Shack question. Before, we can always play the music again, though. Hopefully, right?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. We can do it again. All right. So here we go.
He just gave you another.
I know. I saw that. I saw that. All right. So on the Love Shack, they talk about personal relationships. Mike Gourdet was on there. He's going to be coming up there again. We got a commercial with them later on, and they have lots of conversational cards. And this is a conversational card for all of us. What movie made you laugh more than any other movie?
I got two of them.
Okay, start them out.
Okay, so one of them is called Team America.
What, the little action figure guys?
Yeah, that was made by the guys that do South Park.
Okay, yeah.
I-
Trey
I-
Parker.
Yeah,
and...
yeah. I went and watched that in the theater.
Okay.
And it was just so hilarious.
Okay.
It is NSFW type stuff.
Yeah,
I mean,
so you cannot watch it with your kids. It's an adult.
It's an adult thing.
comedy.
That's the first one. The second one is Kung Pao Enter the Fist. With,
What is that?
That's this Rob Odenkirk, where he takes an old kung fu movie and he puts his own
spin to
it. Well, he like creates
narrates it.
No. He like does this whole thing about the spoof on the kung fu movies with an old kung fu movie, and it's one of the most hilarious things I've ever seen.
Okay, all right. Those two are not on my list, so we're gonna go to David next. David.
Well, since Mike had two, I have two as well.
Okay.
But I could tell you they're under the umbrella subject of baseball.
Okay.
Major League, the first Major
no
League.
crying in baseball.
No, that's the girl
no,
one.
no,
That's
not that one.
That's a League of Your Own.
No, it would be Major League, the first Major League movie, and Bull Durham. Mainly because there's a lot of phrases that, well, I know I can't say on the air right now.
So Bull Durham. Okay.
Bull Durham and Major League, mainly because of the funny quotes, like, the ones I can say, like, hey, you don't think it'll only hurt the ball club, stuff like that.
I'm Willie Mays Hayes.
I'm Willie Mays Hayes, and forget you, Joe Boo. I said forget you.
I like Bull Durham. That one's a good movie.
Okay, so my two movies are going to be a little bit different. So mine is Wedding Crashers. So
are you an Owen Wilson fan?
So I'm both.
Okay.
So I'm both their fans, and I find that movie to be one of the funniest movies. I know a bunch of the lines. I love it when Bradley Cooper is like the boyfriend, right? So he sees the boyfriend, and they come on back, and they want to go hunting, and they're like, "Oh yeah, let's go kill stuff." And there's just some funny quotes, and then you got Will Ferrell, right? Because he's
right.
He's the guru. He's the guru.
He shows up as No,
he's the guru that made all these things, and he's like banging on the wall. Mom, make me some pizza. I just find that hilarious. And then
pizza rolls.
That's right. Yeah. So it's like, are they here? And so that was probably one. And then the other one would be the Three Amigos.
Really?
So
I was thinking The Hangover. For you.
Oh,
that's a good one.
I did like the first Hangover too, but I'd probably say the Three Amigos. So I'm a big Three Amigos fan. I thought it was very funny. I went and saw that with my dad, so it has some sentimental value.
Okay.
Me and my dad went and saw it. So there you go.
That's the old Steve Martin Short,
Chevy Chase.
Chevy Chase.
Yeah, and they're out there and they're pretending that they're movie stars and they got hired and they're supposed to be real gunslingers and they end up essentially having the seamstress build a bunch of outfits for people to kill El Guapo.
That's right. El Guapo
is the villain.
That's right.
You have a plethora of pinatas. Do you know what plethora means? No. So
okay.
So
keep trying.
Okay. All right. There we go. All right. So now let's move on to our first segment, what we call letters.
We get letters. We get back of letters. Oh, letters. We get letters. And the letters all have.
Oh my God!
It's time to do it next. That's nice.
I have a sense of deja vu suddenly. I don't know.
This is our next segment. We're moving on here.
I know.
All right, okay, we were perfect timing. And
for those of you who haven't joined us yet,
welcome to TechTime Radio.
Welcome to TechTime Radio.
The second hour is a little bit
relaxed.
Relaxed. That's a nice way to say it.
Yeah, a little bit.
That's right. Okay. So these are emails that are sent to me that have specific items of requesting regarding phishing and cyber attack possibility. So we talk about the letter that was sent to me and what happens if you click on the link or respond to each
and I
of
think
these.
that the cool thing about this is while this is funny for us, it's also educational because this hopefully will get you folks listening to pay attention to some of these.
They always say, think before you click.
That's right.
That's right.
That's right. Absolutely. All right. So email number one, nathanmum@hotmail.com. This is from brtupdates.igov.wa. So there's not, so it's the IGOVs instead of like .gov, right? .wa.igov. So again, it's the IGOV. They added an I in front of everything.
There you go.
Okay. Business response team. Hello, my name is David. I'm a member of the Confederation of Food and Drink Industries of the EU, France president of the Union of European Groups and the Coca-Cola Company.
Wow, that was a mouthful.
You can actually read it too. Right now, we are working on a job for Coca-Cola in the United States and UK and France and Canada. So somehow they had
and France
and
Canada.
Canada.
Did they use an Oxford comma in there?
No, just a regular comma and. I'd like to know if you're interested in modeling, for your photos would be displayed on billboards, magazine, and all major international airports. We have seen the pictures that you have sent us, and they are some of the best that we could have.
So you've been sending these guys some headshots?
Yeah, have you been sending pictures off the air?
Yeah,
you are definitely the demographic of Coca-Cola.
I saw your photo on the site, and I think that before the photo shoot, we would need to negotiate your contract and pay. But the first most important thing is to get you the $450 prepayment so that we can get you glamour shots additional to help your modeling career.
Oh my goodness!
Please do not. Please do not reply via this site, as our mail would not be answered. So it should probably say that it's a non-monitored mailbox, but whatever. Get back to me via email if you're interested in this offer, and I will give you actually, it's not even further. I will give you feather details.
Feather details.
I'll give you feather details.
They're kinky too.
Well, I don't know about that, but feather details.
Well, we really need to get you some glamour shots. That's exciting.
So I can't click on any links here, but I can just respond to them saying that I'm interested in doing glamour shots.
That's a little odd. You think?
And then you travel around the country and see Nathan Mum's picture everywhere for Coca-Cola.
He's going to be on the side of
United
buses.
States, UK, and France, and Canada.
He's going to be on the side of buses.
That's right. I'll be
in a glamour shot.
Drink Coca-Cola with
feather.
me. That's right.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. So again, the idea of that is for me to respond, and then they would know that my email address may be interested in glamour shots.
Would you classify that as a sort of a small time operator because they don't have a click link?
Yes, they don't have a click link. They don't have a lot of information. They're just hoping that they have made you feel so good about the UK, France, and Canada.
You need to wear your shorts and really bright yellow shirt ensemble.
So I should do that. That would be perfect. That
would be very glamorous.
All right. Well, not to be outdone. Not to be outdone for my glamour shots.
You know what glamour is?
No.
It's actually illusion.
Is it illusion shots?
Yeah, it's an illusion of something.
You remember back in the 80s, they had like all these places called like these glamour shots?
Oh, yeah, they still have those.
Oh, do they still have those?
Yeah.
In the malls that no one goes to anymore?
I don't know if they have them in the malls.
Okay.
But
that's where they were at. I remember that when they had all those like pop-up.
That was back in the 80s when the hairspray was a huge thing.
Yeah,
big hair 80s.
I had a mullet. You should see a picture of my mullet.
I can imagine you in a mullet.
Could you?
Yeah, I had hair.
You had hair?
I had a lot of hair.
Oh, wow. That is really a long time ago.
I have a picture somewhere.
You have to show me that picture.
I will.
All right. So now Lotto Millions winners from Winners Lotto's Millions. So they just went backwards of what they have. Lotto Millions winners is their name, and their email is winnerslottomillions@gmail.com.
Okay.
So they got Gmail account. So they got to be legit.
Yeah, that's a legit Gmail account.
I'm sure it was closed down. Your email was just picked to win a mega jackpot of $1.9 million, and then they decided to spell it out. $1,900,000.
Oh, nice.
So
that was very kind of them.
So they must have saw some contract that had the numbers spelt out. So they decided that they were going to help me with that. Please respond to your claims. And it was to dear email owner. So they don't know my name yet, but they know that I have won $1.9 million.
How about that? Do they have a click link?
No click link either. No.
So this is just an active email.
Just an active email. This is a very, very, very short, easy one to read on the air. There wasn't a whole lot to do.
Like we've talked about in the past, these types of email, they're just trying to verify that there's an existing customer behind this email, and if you click back and answer them, they're going to then try to scam you.
That's correct. All right, here's the next one. To Blissy Associate, and then they had my name in there, so I'm called a Blissy Associate in this. BLISSY Associate.
Okay.
All right. Dearest one, I know you may have been contacted in the past.
It's a love letter.
And your help solicited concerns turned out to be a scam. I was a servant at the presidential palace of Burkina Faso, and it was overthrown. Presently, we are in the Côte d'Ivoire, and the president is in hiding here. Assistance to help us save more money abroad would be appreciated. If you feel you can help us kindly and willing to help, please respond, but do not expose what I have revealed to you. I look forward to your quick response.
Yeah, dearest one.
Dearest
They must have heard about your glamour shots.
This is from Isa Williams at nioka@turei@yahoo.co.gp.
Yeah,
So
I'm going to send
Japan.
you an email, tell you that the president is in hiding, and I'm going to ask you not to share that with anybody.
All right.
Darn, I just shared it with everybody.
That's right. Well, here's our last one before I got so many of these. Here's our last one.
Okay.
This has a bunch of links. It's called G2 Pulse at gpulse@pulse.qa. Your peers need your quick input, and a $10 gift card will be sent your way.
Oh, nice.
Hi, Nathan. You're invited to participate in a short survey about SaaS governance and understanding the industry benchmarks for executives like you. Your response will be confidential and only analyzed in aggregate. Thank you for completing the 5-minute survey. After you click on this link, you'll receive information regarding the peer industry benchmark and test. After you receive 1,000 Pulse points, you can redeem this for a $10 gift card at Amazon, Apple Store, Uber, or a charity of your choice. So now, they're going to say they're going to give you 1,000 Pulse points, and then after that, you can redeem it for $10.
See, that sounds legit.
It does almost sound legit. So click on the link. So when you click on the link, it actually opens up and has you take a 5-minute survey, and it's a Google form survey.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of legit of what needs to be taken care of.
Okay, so somebody put some thought into this one.
So they did. After you're done with the 5-minute survey report, guess how many Pulse points you got in your account? Because you have to sign up with your username and information. Guess how many points you get?
1,000?
Nope. It's 1 point per survey.
1 point per survey.
So after 1,000 surveys on their site, they will then send me a $10 gift card to Amazon.
Wow, you're being a busy executive, I know that $10 is really important.
So after 1,000 surveys, and I'll take 5 minutes, so 5,000 minutes of my time, I will then be eligible, who knows if they're legit, to get a $10 gift card from Amazon. Now, they do have an account that you sign up for. But
how many surveys did you do?
I did one.
Okay.
I did one to do it, and I said, I was expecting at least 100 points.
Yeah, no kidding, right?
So I was figuring that, I get it. I read it, and I'm like, it's kind of fishy. You're not really going to get the $10. Let's see how many points I actually get. But you only get 1 Pulse points.
1 point for
survey.
One survey.
So if you do an Amazon survey, because we have an app where we get money, $10 back from Amazon each month. Yeah. And they have surveys on there, and you get like 25 cents.
25 cents.
But they actually pay you out, and they have a process to do this. Mm-hmm. So this was actually not a phishing scam, but a scam for me to do surveys for people that they've probably sold upon information, and they get it back. So
like I said, this one sounded more legit than the other.
So it's kind of legit, right? So I would guess
the purpose is really not to get your information so much as to what's the point for this?
So they're I'm sure saying they're selling surveys to people. Right, so companies want to do a survey, and they're charging the company X amount of dollars, and they're saying, well, we'll get plenty of people to pull from our database.
So they're scamming companies, not you.
So they're probably not even necessarily scamming companies. It's probably just a bad business process. Instead of them telling you how many points you get up per survey up at the front, they kind of are hiding it on the back end, and they get you in there anticipating. So it's kind of more of a sales scam than an actual validation scam of information.
Yeah, but they're doing it wrong because most people, when they find out that they're rewarded only 1 point, they're not going to go for the next one.
Yeah, but if they keep on sending these out, then they never have to pay out the $10 gift cards. If you look at it that way,
that's true.
So you can just get free people to survey every single time they want to do a survey.
That's true.
And they didn't have any other surveys for me to take, so it's only one.
Oh, nice.
So if you think about it, then you probably never ever pay it out because they're probably never going to have 10,000 surveys to do. They're probably going to have like 500 and then fold, and then it'll be a new company that comes that out.
Okay.
All right, there we go. That is our segment. All right, we're going to head out to a commercial break. When we come on back, hopefully we got our friend James Riddle on the show, ready to go with COVID-19 information and CRISPR information. I'm Nathan Moen. We got Mike Roday here, David Brown behind the board. We'll see you in a bit.
Upper Left Corner is a PNW true crime podcast now streaming on all major podcast platforms. If you get excited when your favorite true crime podcast tells a story about a place that you've been to or the town that you live in, then Upper Left Corner podcast is for you. Each week, I tell you a story of a crime that has taken place in the PNW and give you background about the town the crime occurred in. If you like true crime, check out Upper Left Corner podcast, now available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, and more.
Ace Hardware is a helpful place with prompt, friendly service, knowledge, and the little things that make a big difference.
Service.
Selection.
Advice.
Community involvement.
Competitive prices.
Convenience.
Located near you.
And the things you need, such as
house keys,
lawn and garden,
plumbing,
electrical,
hardware,
grills,
outdoor living supplies,
and even nuts and bolts.
When you visit Ace Hardware, you'll be greeted at the door and given the help you need.
So come visit us at Ace Hardware in Evergreen Way in Everett, Lake Stevens, and now Stanley.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
What was that shaking sound?
That's just a part of the musical track.
Oh, I don't.
Maybe it was dice playing on.
That's what it sounded like, dice or something.
Yeah, maybe we're gambling on that.
Either that or an ice machine dropping ice.
You know, my wife is crazy. We have 2 ice machines at our house.
Oh, you're gonna get in trouble for
that.
I
know. Okay, my wife's a great person. We have 2 ice machines at our house.
You're gonna get more trouble.
Why
for
do
that
you need
one.
2 ice machines? I got an ice machine in our pantry, and we have an ice machine in the refrigerator. How much ice do you need to get?
Do you know the hole you're digging right now?
Okay, all right.
Okay.
I'll probably be in trouble with that, but you know what? I know.
Just keep shoveling.
I know she's at a marriage shower right now, so she's not listening.
Oh,
to the
she's
show,
not
so.
even listening.
So this, so we're
you're-
going. That's why we're all off the rails right here.
Yeah, you're getting.
Do you
away
want me
with
to
a lot
edit
of
that
stuff.
part out?
Yeah, there you go. We'll rebroadcast that one a little bit differently. All right, well, we have our next segment that we're going to get right to. Our special guest, who even has his own special segment music. We'll get right to it.
Welcome to the segment we call Ask the Experts, with our TechTime Radio technology expert, James Riddle.
Oh, that was special.
I know, that's awesome, isn't it? All right. So James is the only one that has special music specifically.
I feel like I ought to be breakdancing or something.
Oh, I know.
Move or something.
It's a little bit of that Fresh Prince type of sound. Is that what you said?
No, it's more like this kind of hip hop jazz
Oh, it's a
stuff.
hip-hop
Yeah,
jazz?
I don't know.
Oh, okay, all right.
Kinda
Okay.
weird.
Well, James, thank you so much for joining us on the show. I'm so excited to have you on because I got lots of questions and we got lots of time. So we have 2 segments with you. That's the great part of having 2 hours. We get to do a segment a little bit. We commercial break. We come on back and do another segment. So we're going to get right into this. So I sent you over a story specifically that I wanted to ask lots of questions about, lots of information. So we're going to get right into this immediately. Now, James is the Vice President of Research Services and Strategic Consultant for Advera. I've known James for, I think maybe 15 years now. It may be getting older and older. So
I don't know. It's so long ago I can't remember. So maybe we're just getting old.
That's right.
Yeah, that's normal.
That's
Your memory is the first thing to go, and
you
I
know
don't
what-
remember what the next one is.
That's right. That's right.
We gotta send an email out to the folks over in Burkina Faso and see if they'll help us out with like old age retirement programs or something like
That's
that.
right.
Well,
We
that's
need to
a
do
good-
that. And
that's a good
and
idea.
the Côte d'Ivory, which was actually spelled incorrectly too. The Ivory Coast, which I actually lived in 3 years when I was a little kid. So they should have said Abidjan, the headquarters. And then I would have probably sent them the money. Then I would have known that.
I
it was
think we
really
should
there.
just call Coke directly and send them your glamour shot.
You think so? All right. All right. Okay. So there was an article specifically posted regarding CRISPR, and you're our CRISPR expert, right? So all the article talks about the ability to maybe have a super, super gene process that would allow us to never get the flu or colds again. It's like an ultimate virus using CRISPR technology. So all life on Earth follows the simple rule of combination of 64 DNA triplet codes, or they're called codons, that are translated into 20 amino acids. I did all this research.
I
You
know.
can see, 'cause
I didn't
Okay.
get to read the article, so I don't know, right?
Into 20 amino acids. Explain how these codons are created, and let's talk about what this article talks about on how they're talking about altering them.
All right. So at a very basic level, all life is engineered based off of this DNA code, right? So you've seen on the websites or whatever, you see the little double helix thing where there's a bunch of these things kind of parsed together and it looks really cool. Well, all life has that, humans, etc. So these dudes over at the University of Cambridge, super bright guys, they used a technology called CRISPR-Cas9. And CRISPR is basically, it's a gene editing function where you can go in and take that little double helix, take little bits of it and move it around and put new stuff into it, basically start engineering new DNA.
Okay.
So they thought, well, I wonder what would happen if we radically engineered a bacteria. So they use E. coli to protect E. coli from viruses. So like E. coli can actually get, a virus. Humans get viruses. We also have bacteria that infect us. You can take bacteria. It has the same double helix stuff inside of it, only not as complex as humans. And so what they did is they took this E. coli and they're like, I wonder if we could monkey around with the DNA to get to the point where the E. coli can't be infected by the viruses anymore. And by and large, they did it, right? So they took the E. coli and they monkeyed around with the DNA strands using the CRISPR-Cas9 to create essentially what is a new synthetic organism. So like a new organism that hasn't ever been, like, it's not natural.
So we've cured E. coli from getting a virus.
Basically, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So, well, I guess the question is, from a technology perspective, is it still E. coli, right? So if you take E. coli and you rip out 90% of the DNA and replace it with 90% of other stuff, is it still E. coli?
Isn't that the Jurassic Park conundrum?
That kind of is, right? Because they had some gaps in the
if it's
DNA
not
codes,
fully
right?
dinosaur DNA, is it really a dinosaur?
And then you add little chicken DNA, and then you got yourself raptors going around and killing stuff, right? Okay.
Yeah, but the cool part is they can do it. I mean, from a technology standpoint, we have the ability to engineer things to be into different things.
Yeah, and this is where we get into the weird ethical stuff, right?
Yeah, so you were talking, Nathan, I think you were talking a little earlier about, like, can we create superheroes?
So I'm going to ask you that. So here's my next question. I got this at the end.
He's got it at the end.
I got it at the end.
He's got them all written out.
So if we tap into the redundant extra 64 strands, or the codons of the living beings, and inserted our own code, what would happen to a living person or a living animal with those extra codons in there with new code?
Well, theoretically, they would be a new organism. So, that's the premise for the Jurassic Park movies. It's the premise for a lot of the superheroes, right? Hulk got a little bit of genetic whatever, and now it's Hulk, right? And he's still alive and whatever. But we don't know yet. I mean, the scientists have not gotten to the point yet where they could, for instance, at least not that we know of publicly, get to the point where they could genetically engineer a different kind of human and have it live.
Wow!
Right?
So
They can monkey around with the embryos and the cells as it's just starting, and they can insert new genetic codes and things of that nature. But at least as far as we know publicly, there hasn't been a human animal hybrid that has
like
survived.
that new Netflix show.
Oh, what's that?
Yeah, like the new Netflix show, the little kids with the antlers and that kind of stuff.
Oh, I haven't seen it yet. Is it pretty good?
I can't remember what it's called. I just saw an advertisement for it, but that reminds me. And I think the last time we talked about the CRISPR technology, we were mentioning designer babies.
So let me ask about this. Is it possible to compress, since we have all this genetic code that is not being used, is there a way to compress the genetic code into smaller strands of our code so that we could then add complete different strains onto our current DNA strands?
Boy, you spent a lot of time on this one. I didn't even get the article.
Well, I know you didn't. I was a little late to get you the paper today at 11 o'clock.
I know.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So Nathan, the short answer is we have the technological capability to do that. As a species, we've developed the technological capability to permanently alter ourselves. Now, then the next question is more of an ethical one, which is, what should we do with that function? What should we do with this new technology that we've been able to develop? Because we can alter ourselves if we wanted to. The outcome of that, unknown. But we have the ability to alter humans' genes, and we have those humans can then pass those genetic changes down to their offspring. In fact, you can see evidence of this where there are new treatments and therapies in the gene therapy world where people with a genetic disorder, like there's pretty recently, there was an approval of a new gene therapy that cures a certain type of blindness that's based off of a genetic mutation.
You go in, you give the person the gene therapy, it goes into their body, and it modifies how their DNA is made up, and they can see again. It's amazing technology. I mean, just people who weren't able to see, now they suddenly can. And it's not a drug. It's not like radiation. It's adenovirus or some other kind of virus vector goes in there, tweaks around with the DNA, and suddenly that genetic abnormality is gone, and you can see again.
But okay, so here's a question that just came up, right?
Okay.
So you talked about this delivery device being a virus.
Yep.
We talked about the superbug being immune to viruses. So if you create the superbug that's immune to viruses, can that then be changed by viruses?
Oh, that is a really good question. Maybe. Or if you've designed your E. coli bacteria to be immune to viruses because you've altered the way that the DNA is read by the messenger RNA, without getting into too much of it, you've modified your cellular factory so that the virus can't get in anymore.
Right. Yep.
Presumably, that would work for any kind of virus until you snag the DNA of a virus and alter that DNA so that it can actually get in to the protected bacteria DNA. Make your head spin, right?
An endless loop of stuff
that you can create, right? So now all of a sudden I'm cured from everything, and then all of a sudden you have somebody break into the technology and say, "Oh, we're going to create a virus out there that specifically attacks these type of genes." So
yeah, well, one of the things
this is like in sci-fi. You can then, if I was the government,
here you are,
and I'm trying to figure out who mutants are around the world, if I had a targeted RNA sequence to look for people with specific genetic genes, I could create a database and then capture all of those.
You really have thought. You really did.
The
pay a lot
X-Men,
of
I
it,
did. So I could then go in and actually literally like the X-Men movie has, right? So the X-Men movie says they create this process to see if you're a mutant. You could literally do this now. Is that right, James? Yes. Oh, is that right? Okay, perfect. All right, so
he froze.
Did James freeze up?
I think
bit?
he froze. Yeah.
All right.
Oh,
James,
we lost him.
Okay. Well,
he'll be back.
Okay, I'm going to ask him the next question. We'll take a commercial break, and when we head on out, we're going to ask this question, James. COVID-19 relief pill is being talked about. Will it work as effective as shots, or even better? Let's take a commercial break, and we'll see you guys right back.
Hello, my name is Arthur, and my life's work is connecting people with coffee. StoriCoffee is a small batch specialty coffee company that uses technology to connect people to each product resource, which allows farmers to unlock their economic freedom. Try our Medium Roast Founder Series coffee, which is an exotic bourbon variety that is smooth, fresh, and elegant at StoriCoffee.com. That's STORI coffee.com. Today you can get your first bag free when you subscribe at StoriCoffee.com with code TechTime. That's STORI coffee.com.
Hi, this is Lisa Downs, host of Reigniting You, a new show here on KKNW that explores a variety of topics and timely issues for making mid to late career transitions. I'll be here every Wednesday afternoon at 3 o'clock bringing you guest interviews, career transition advice, and great stories to guide you to what's next in your career and life. Gain a renewed sense of purpose for your next phase with a positive, forward-looking approach. Get ready to be re-energized, recharged, and reignited Wednesdays at 3 o'clock.
Welcome back to Tech Time
I think
Radio.
This is my favorite.
It's your favorite music
of all of our music.
All right, with Nathan Munn. Before I asked, and we went to break, I asked James the important question about this COVID-19 relief pill. I still want to go back and find out if we can really track mutants, because that's how I'm going to end the story. That's what I want to do.
You're really into that.
I really am. I think we can find mutants with that thing. But I'm going to ask James specifically. The COVID-19 relief pill is being talked about, and it says that it may provide the ability to be as effective as shots, or even better. The U.S. government spent more than $18 billion last year funding drug makers to make a COVID-19 vaccine in an effort that led to at least 5 highly effective shots in record time. Now it's pouring more than $3 billion on a neglected area of research, developing pills to fight the virus early in the course of infection, potentially saving many lives for years to come. So, James, question for you. A number of other viruses, including influenza, HIV, and hepatitis C, can be treated with a simple pill. What is the process to get a pill approved and tested? And what do you think about the COVID-19 aspect of a pill?
All right. So, guys, can you hear me okay?
Yep, I can hear you perfect.
Excellent. For some reason, CenturyLink thinks that it's not a good idea to have consistent internet service. I'm not sure why that is.
I'm sorry. That's what happens when you live in Arizona and it's too hot for you. If you're in the Pacific
yeah,
Northwest,
it's the heat.
Yeah, you know what? It's a great, beautiful day out here, and Comcast takes care of us. So there you go. All right. So question to you.
He left.
Oh, did he leave again?
He dropped. CenturyLink took exception to that.
So you know what
they did. They took exception to that, and they cut me off.
There you go. He's back again. They're just pausing you. All right. So let's talk about this COVID-19 relief pill. Tell me, how do you get approved for a pill? And is the idea smart to have a COVID-19 pill?
Okay. So first off, a lot of treatments have different kinds of ways that you can get the treatment, right? Some treatments involve a shot. Some treatments involve a pill. Some treatments involve like a nasal spray. So there's lots of different ways that you can get a treatment into a human body. So a pill makes a lot of sense, right? It's easier to transport. You don't have to use a needle. You can put it in a package. You can send it out. People can take it. It's really easy. So it does make a lot of sense to have a COVID treatment in pill form. What you have to do, and if you're the pharmaceutical company and you want to develop a pill, you have to do testing on humans in order to prove to the FDA that your pill is safe and effective. Those are the two things you have to prove to them. You have to prove that you're not going to cause adverse events when people take the pill, and that it works. If you can prove those two things, then the FDA will approve your treatment, and you can market it in the United States. And there's similar approvals that happen around the world. Before you can start your testing and do your approval, you have to work out with the FDA how you're going to do the testing, and then you have to get your testing plans approved by an independent ethics board that oversees medical research here in the United States. My company, Advara, we do that, and there's others as well, that provide sort of an independent oversight of research as it's being conducted. And depending on how fast you go, you could get approval in a year. Some drugs take 10 years. Really just depends. COVID is of particular importance. The government's pouring a lot of money into it. And so it's likely that a COVID treatment pill would get fast track authority from FDA and maybe even an emergency use authorization, which is how they got the vaccines out before the vaccines were actually proven safe and effective. The FDA let people started to take them. So it wouldn't surprise me at all to see a pill treatment or maybe a nasal-based treatment here in the not too distant future. Might even see nasal vaccines, maybe unlikely to get a pill vaccine.
All right. So they said that so far, the only antiviral demonstration to have a clear benefit was Remdesivir, which is
I think it's pronounced Remdesivir.
Remdesivir. Do you know anything about that Remdesivir and how and what it has in it specifically?
Other than it's approved treatment for certain indications, but as far as the Remdesivir's effectiveness on treating COVID, it really would relate to how the drug interacts with the virus in the body and what kind of protection it gives you, what kind of treatment, or it could be some treatments are looking at alleviating some of the symptoms. So one of the most nastiest symptoms of COVID is your lungs feel like you can't breathe, right? So if you can solve that problem, even if you don't kill the virus, if you can keep the person alive by clearing up their lungs and the like, at least they can survive out the other end.
That makes sense. So it says currently only testing has been with Ebola, but it's been very successful with there. So they expect it to have. It's interesting that a lot of the Ebola stuff, a lot of the stuff that in the third world nations that are big concerns where we send vaccinations to have kind of helped.
Was it Ebola or E. coli?
Ebola. This is for
Ebola.
the Ebola for that we're talking about specifically. It's been pretty successful. All right. So,
go ahead.
What was that? What were you going to say, James?
I was just going to say that what scientists have learned about Ebola, RSV, and some other viruses, malaria included, over the last 20, 30 years has really impacted and sped along our understanding of developing a COVID vaccine. COVID's a virus. It works, behaves, and acts like other viruses. It's unique because we haven't seen it before. It mutates quickly, which is kind of odd. Most viruses don't mutate quite as quickly as what COVID has been mutating. But when it comes to developing a vaccine for a virus, like scientists know how to do that. You just have to make sure you understand how the virus is attacking the cells, and then create a vaccine, which will then prohibit the virus from invading your cell.
See, there's your mutants.
There's my mutants. So my last question before you leave. All right. So if we have the technology to now search in CRISPR for DNA and RNA sequencing, if the government had this special test that they had to do to test mutants, like in the X-Men movies.
Why don't you ask them if we can make superheroes?
Well, I know. I'm just going to ask this question. That means we actually probably could create a process to see if there were X-Men people on our Earth right now today. Is that right, James?
That is right. You could certainly create a fairly simple genomic-based assay or test that would look for abnormal genetic markers.
There you go. So let me just tell you, everything in science fiction movies come true. Look we now have iPads. Star Trek had these little things. We now have communicators on our. Everything happens.
Is science fiction predicting or is science fiction influencing?
Well, see, I got this whole thing about time travelers that have come back.
Okay, here we go.
So we'll talk about this.
We need to
a little
test
Loki
them for mutants.
Yeah, well, you just need to watch the new Disney Plus Loki series. So they're all it's the TVA.
Listen to you
which
plug in the plus.
Well, there you go. It's going taking care of stuff. So James, thank you very much for joining the show. I'm so sorry that your internet service there is CenturyLink instead of Comcast, and you know what? If you're in the Pacific Northwest, you'd be in a much better shape. But you know what? I got you.
Yeah, you'll appreciate this. We called a couple of people in the neighborhood because it's the whole neighborhood that's getting flaky over the last week. We've called up a couple of times. You know what they tell us? It's heat related.
I told you.
I'm like, come on. It's like it's Arizona. It's gonna get hot. Right? You should be able to protect your equipment from 118 degree heat.
So they got these cables they put underneath the ground, and they didn't insulate where they put those cables because they did cheap labor, and they're probably overheating. Seriously, are overheating in your.
I mean, I lived there, so I got some of the same excuses.
That's right. You know what? Here in the Pacific Northwest, we never get higher than that 90 degrees. It's beautiful outside today.
Yeah, don't talk.
That's right.
Keep talking. You're gonna
my internet's gonna be
you're really digging a lot of holes today.
Okay. All right.
We'll talk when it's January and it's 85 degrees and sunny. I'm sitting out back with my shorts and t-shirt. You're up there, huddled by the fire.
That's right. You just go have a good time in your pool out there that doesn't have a merman. So when they moved down there for a pool. I told them they have to have a merman. I said you need to put
air conditioning and pools
and a merman in the pool and a merman though. Don't you want a merman in a pool?
What is the thing about the merman?
Oh, dude, I was just totally into that at the time, and I told James he had to get it, and he didn't put it in there. So
what the heck is it?
I didn't get it.
I'll tell you. He didn't get it. His wife said no. She said, "What are you doing? That's the craziest thing."
All right, we're gonna have to talk about this.
That's right.
Because this is a little weird.
It's a little weird.
Yeah, you've said merman 8 times, and I'm trying to figure out what you're talking about.
I'll show you a picture of one. Okay.
Okay.
All right, James. Thank you for joining us. Have a great day.
Bye.
James is not gonna text me. He's like, "Dude, what are you talking about our thing?" So yeah, so he did a pool, and essentially they had this whole pool thing that they were setting up, and I said, "Oh, what you need to do is you need to put a merman in here." He's like, "Why would I ever do that?" So I kept on they'd show me pictures of the pool. I'd be like, "Oh, that's really cool," except for it doesn't have a merman. It doesn't have a merman.
okay.
So it was an ongoing joke. So there you go. That's the whole story. All right, we're gonna take a break. When we come on back, we have our next segment of What You Didn't Know. We're going to be talking about China and all of the technology updates that are going on in segments that we can talk about briefly about some of the new technology they're releasing here in the United States and about their space program. So we'll see you after the commercial break.
Hello, Seattle. How would you like to have immediate and easy access to your live EKG and heart rate data? Your data right at your fingertips and with no need to hook up wires and leads or be strapped to a machine at the doctor's office. The new Pulse device from Vivomi continuously tracks your EKG and displays this data on your mobile phone. Have you ever wondered how your EKG and heart rate behaves when you're exercising at the gym, navigating the stressful demands of the workday, or just getting the kids ready for school or relaxing at home? The Pulse is a different kind of wearable, and you can experience this difference by going to www.vivomi.com and ordering your device today.
Hey, honey, did you hear what I heard?
What's up, babe? I heard Mike over there at TechTime Radio. He's like battling he's in the like that the swimming with the sharks in that singles arena, if you will. You know?
Oh, bless his heart. And I also heard, like you did, that maybe things aren't going so great. You know what he needs, babe?
I think he needs to spend a little time in Love Shack.
Yeah, Love Shack. The Love Shack that airs every Thursday at 1 p.m. PST on KKNW 1150.
Come on, Mike. Come on over and join us. We got you.
Your business deserves the same expertise as that of a Fortune 500 company. If you need a CIO-level service, why hire a full-time staff member at $250,000 a year when you can get this on-demand service for fractions of the cost? As your CIO on demand, we'll give you the steps you need to take so as to minimize interruption to your business and profitability, and provide you and your business with training and education to prevent future attacks. To get an efficiency review for your business today, contact us at www.ee-services.com.
Welcome back to Tech Time Radio with Nate the Mom. We're going to go right into our next segment.
The Merman.
Stories you didn't know.
Oh, it's more Fresh Prince music.
That's right. This is Fresh Prince music. All right. All right. Crews started making China's new space station their home. So China is moving with 3 astronauts who have now begun making China's new space station their home after 3 months of practice. After their launch and arrival at the station Thursday marked further advancement in the country's ambitious space program. Their Sinchon 12 craft connected with the station at about 6 hours after taking off from Genwick Launch Center on the edge of the Gobi Desert. About 3 hours later, Commander Ni Han followed through with Li Bong and space rookie Tang Hongbo. I'm probably mispronounced those names.
You're
but
totally,
that's all right.
you're all right.
All right, opened the hatches and floated into the Teen 1 core living segment of the space station. They took pictures to show everybody they were hard at work unpacking equipment, and at one point turning to the camera and greeting the Salyut's audience back on Earth. They represent the first time China has entered their own space station. China is not a participant in the International Space Station. However, China has been stepping up cooperation with Russia and other host countries to create their own space station to continue operation of international space. Although not contractually allowed to say congratulations between China and the space program NASA, NASA Administrator Bill Nelson issued a statement Thursday expressing congratulations to China on a successful launch of crew in their space station. So they're not supposed to say it. He got in big trouble for saying this.
Yeah.
I look forward to the
Politics.
scientific discoveries to come. So he was being very polite, saying, great, we welcome you to space. Let's all work together for space. And then he got himself slapped down, and you're not supposed to do that.
Yep.
The time has come where it takes only 2 days to reach the space station as a result of great improvements, where it used to take up to 64 hours upon a launch to enter into the orbit.
Mhm.
So they've essentially sped up their processes to get there quicker. All right. Story number 2.
Oh, you got to tell them about the sleep quote.
What? So the astronauts can have it. Oh, this. Okay. So
I love this.
So as a result, China is making many breakthroughs in innovation. The mission's deputy chief designer, Mr. Zha, stated to the broadcasting TV on CCTV China, the astronauts can now have a good place to rest in space, which should make them less tired.
That's an awesome quote.
Other
I love
improvements include an increase in the number of automated and remote-controlled systems that have significantly lessened the pressure of being an astronaut.
Yeah.
So they've come up with, well, come on.
I really enjoy that.
It's
you
propaganda.
can, if you get more sleep, you're gonna have more rest.
Well, they have to announce that to all of China. So it was like the best thing in the world, and they can now sleep more. All right. Chinese startup Pony AI plans to launch a driverless robo-taxi service in California in 2022. Pony AI, the robot startup, operates in China and in the United States and has started testing driverless vehicles on public roads in China and in California, ahead of plans to launch commercial service there in 2022. The company said the driverless vehicle testing, which means the autonomous vehicle operates without humans, safety drivers behind the wheels in California are looking for new regulations that may limit Pony AI from being successful.
Well, yeah, because everybody else has their own robot vehicles.
But Pony AI says that they've been successful with vehicles in China, so there should be no problem with them coming as a part of California.
Yeah.
California says that they are looking at regulated robo-taxi services with additional costs and services to be on the road. They're including a fresh new $2,600,000 funding to be a part of this.
Maybe they should go to Vegas.
So they're
running those
things back and
forth between the airport.
So AI would work in California. Let's be honest. You're only going to be going like 5 miles an hour every 5 minutes. So what are you going to be talking about? If you're going to have an AI car, that's the place to have it because it only has to move very little every 5 minutes.
Who knows? I still want somebody to do the Johnny Cab thing.
All right, that makes sense. Well, it has been our second hour has been a success. We enjoy you guys as Tech Time listeners. Hopefully you had something that made you go, I'm Nathan Mumm. We got David Brown behind the board. Mike Arday over here. Have a great day and be safe.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us on Tech Time Radio. We hope that you had a chance to have that moment in technology today. We also have a few other ways to stay connected, including subscribing to our podcast on any podcast service from Apple to Google and everything in between. And also signing up on our YouTube page, where you get to see us live in video. Yep, you can see us chat and have some fun. It's youtube.com/techtimeradio, all one word. We hope you enjoyed the show as much as we did making it for you. From all of us at Tech Time Radio, remember, Mumm's the word. Have a safe and fantastic week.
The views expressed on this program are those of the host.